Dang. I've literally been on calls. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be on calls from oh, I meant to share my screen, not turn my video off. From 9 a.m. and I'm gonna go till 7 p.m. tonight. So it's gonna be a fun day. And I'm like, that is why I'm eating lunch at my desk. But it's like been the best day ever, which is awesome. And speaking of days, today we're going to talk about planning your time. Now, this is a variation of something you guys might have heard of called Monday Hour One. And I'll explain how I use that to calendar. And if you've never heard of Monday Hour One, no worries. I'm going to explain it all to you today. So, today we're going to talk about like the things that I see when I see other like CEOs trying to plan their time. And then I'm going to talk to you about obviously how to create a solution that has worked for me. There are just three steps that I do every when I can. Of course, all these systems are flexible, but something that I've found has been really helpful. And I think that's why this is one of the essentials. It's like when we're thinking about planning our time as CEOs of these badass, amazing businesses, how you're spending your time really does matter. And I want to make sure you're getting the most out of every minute that you're in your business. And then we're going to have a moment to talk about how to create a weekly plan that works for you and how to evaluate things. Also, apologies, the animals have been like just really active. And I think it's because we've been out of town all weekend for the holiday. And so I think if you just see them in the background, they're going to be fully present today, which is exciting. And then obviously like the typical Q&A, open coaching. So, one of the things that I found is that when I was thinking about my time, there was so much mental energy I was spending in my business. It really felt like I was working. I kid you not. It felt like I was working like 50, 60 hours a week. And I met with a coach and they were like, "Okay, like let's actually like map out your time." Like physically, let's think about how much time are you spending coaching? And I was coaching like 7 clients at the time, and I was like, "Okay, so I've got like 7 clients." And they were like, "Okay, so what are you doing?" And it's like, "Well, I get coached too." So like that's a part of it. And it ended up being like 30, I think it was like 27 hours. And I was like, I swore that I could was working like 50 hours a week. And I know that it can feel like that, especially when there's so many other decisions that you need to make for your business. So I want you to like, if you are one of the people that is like me and is feeling like at the beginning of my business that there were just so many things to do and it felt like I was working all the time, actually go ahead and set your timer. See how long things are taking you, and then you're going to have a better grasp of the actual hours that you're working. The other thing is I was like attended when I said doing a training on hiring people, I actually like attended a training on hiring people. And one the number one thing that she was saying to do to scale to millions is think about how you're spending your time. And if you do want to scale to like potentially multiple six figures, you do not have to, obviously, to be a part of this group. But if you are thinking about hiring out some people for your business, or already have hired out people in your business, you want to make sure that you're exchanging in that hour, that 2 hours, 3 hours that you are hiring someone to work for you. They are actually, you're going to be making money from the time that you would exchange. I feel like I just explained that in the most wordy way possible. I'm like, but do you, I was like, you got to get the grip. This like, you want to make sure that when you hire somebody that they are doing something that's taking up a lot of your time so your energy could be used elsewhere. So you can think about direct things that are impacting your income and indirect things that you want to continue doing. And just so you guys know, like direct things would be marketing, managing leads, and planning, and sales. Those are like the direct things are the essentials. And then the indirect things would be like self-coaching, getting coached, like being a part of this mastermind, learning. Those are indirect things that will impact your income. So what happens is I see a lot of people. This is when I talk about like the deadline, I think a lot of people don't really have it's like they're because you're your own boss, you're making your own schedule. You kind of like are like, okay, I know maybe I should do something, but like it's like we'll wait until like let's say it's marketing for instance. Like okay, I'm gonna wait till the day of to do a post or something like that, which is totally fine. That's exactly where I was at the beginning. But as you're scaling and creating systems and things like that, it can make things really, really stressful as you run your business, and we want to minimize that. So a lot of times I see people waiting till the deadline to do things. I also see people like adding projects like if I know a couple of you guys came to the podcast one, but it'll be like a the podcast training that Allison did 2 weeks ago. And when we're thinking about like having a really big project, like a if you want to add an like we were all talking about like an email list or like creating a website so you can host or like something like that, they'll be like, okay, create a freebie, or that's a pretty clear one, but it's like plan for webinar. And it's like there are lots of different things that we'll talk about, like that you can do to plan for a webinar. There are emails to schedule, there is marketing to do, there's actually doing the presentation, there's writing the script and things like that. And it can be really confusing if you don't have a protocol with a different big project that you decide to take on. And so we want to make sure that we're scheduling that out. I also see people writing a lot of to-do lists, which is totally fine if to-do lists work for you. I have just found, and this is just again, my best practices are that if you are constantly writing to-do lists, there's not really like it's just like something to check off. There's not really an end time. So that's why that can be like tricky when you're thinking about planning your time as a CEO. The other thing is I see a lot of people that are like kind of reprioritizing daily. So it'll be like the to-do list thing. It's like, okay, I have an hour to work on my business. What am I doing in that hour that I'm working on my business? And it's like, it's just kind of like work on business. And when you have that like work on business and you're like, look at the to-do list, there are hundreds of things that you could do. So we want to make sure that you're actually doing the things that are gonna bring the most ROI. And the other thing I found is like it'll be like, okay, I've got one day. I took off and like I was talking with somebody, they were like, I took off Friday, so I'm just going to work on Friday without like a plan. And I was like, that is great. I want you to work on Friday. But what happens is like if you just have like a day to work on things and you don't have it like broken out into many things, it can be really overwhelming. So I know the reasons why a lot of people do these things is like it can feel productive to keep writing lists and things like that. And it's almost like, okay, I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna like write lists. And I'm like, I did that all the time. I'd be like, I would be sitting there and I would just be like, okay, let's make a list of all the things. But it would be like just a really big to-do list that never actually got crossed off. I did that a lot when I was teaching, especially. And then the reason why this is like a problem is like our brains are hardwired for negativity always. So it's like if we have these like giant tasks on our schedule, then we're going to get overwhelmed. And that's why it's not as productive. And then when we're thinking about like having a project, the first time you do something, it's going to be the hardest. Like when we talked about marketing, creating your marketing calendar, right? That first time is always the hardest time because you're starting from scratch. It gets better and better, but it is something that you want to start like timing yourself and actually creating like, okay, the first time you do it, it's kind of like, I am guessing it's going to take me like an hour to pick the topics. And then you actually can time yourself and figure out how much time it takes. And then my favorite one was like, if you put a huge project on the to-do list, it's like it will get done eventually. And usually it happened for me at like the very last minute and it felt really stressful. So what we want to do instead of that kind of stuff, especially if you are like nobody has to hire people at all. Like that is not a requirement at all. But I will say that like it has been really helpful now that I have a social media manager that I do things more in advance. And I'm not always used to doing that because I was just like, it's just me, you know? But if you are thinking about like bringing someone else in to work with you, a VA, anybody, it's like you want to make sure that like your your scheduling is kind of on point so that you can also like delegate better. So the way that I like to call CEO scheduling, it's just evaluating, simplifying the projects, calendaring it, and then having clear outcomes. So instead of being, and I'll talk about like what that means, like what it would look like. But I think that a big piece that you guys may or may not do currently that I would really love to offer to you in this course is that calendaring is not only beneficial if you calendar with pencil paper, that's great. But I will say, as you are scaling these businesses and growing these businesses, doing a virtual calendar, I would highly recommend because you can integrate it to any scheduler. So, like Calendly, Acuity, and people can actually start to book calls online without you having to get times for them. Um, this has been like the biggest frustration for me with two different other service providers. Like, I have been wanting to get my hair cut balloons, guys, every time. But it's like, but I've been trying to get a haircut for 3 months. I'm not kidding. 3 freaking months. And it's just her running her business. And like, she keeps messaging me is like, can you do Tuesday? I'm like, I can't do Tuesday. I'm like, can you do Friday? And she's like, can't do Friday. Okay. And like, so we've been going back and forth for 3 months. And I just want to get my hair cut. And so it's like, it just helps you to be on it. And I was actually talking with someone who is like a huge email list, a huge following. And she was still doing that, and she lost out on like at her like I'm talking about like 22,000 people on her email list. She had all these people that she was going back and forth finding out a time that was good for them, and had like 5 no-shows. And she actually is paying someone to do consults for her, and she had to pay the person for the consults, like, because they missed the calls and stuff. So it's just like stuff to keep in mind that you might not think about. If I think most people are using Google Calendar, that's what I recommend, but you can use any like virtual calendar, and typically they integrate. So, here's how I like to schedule. I like to do it's a variation of this thing called Monday Hour One, where essentially you start with a to-do list for the week and then you throw it on your calendar instead. So instead of just like having the to-do list like floating, being like at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, write my, I'm going to post my post for the day, something like that. Um, we're going to talk about like what it kind of looks like to break down a result and put it into manageable chunks. And then Friday hour done is where you can evaluate the week before and just think about changes that you want to replicate. So I'm going to give you the basic Friday hour done today, and you can like switch it from there. Oh, another reason why this is also really important. Another one of my clients, when we talked about consults, I think I mentioned that sheet with your availability. And I don't know if it was someone, it might have been someone in this group actually, but they were just their clients were booking like every week they were booking different times. So it was like they would be like, okay, it's like every at the end of every session, they were like choosing the time that worked best for the client. And that makes it tricky for like new people to like feel that consistency, in my opinion. If that's the only thing you can do, like I have a client that like she has a child, and sometimes it does have to be like the childcare situation right now is a little tricky, and so she was like sometimes it does have to be week to week. But I would also recommend actually writing out your time so that you can actually figure out when you're available, and then you know how many spots you have, and then you know when you can actually take people. So we're going to talk about how you can implement your calendaring. And this is what we're talking about today. And we'll talk about like this in the additional systems. But what I like to do is I like to create defined routines around my business so that I don't have to make decisions every time. So this week again is going to be like, hopefully if you guys want to do it this week, but whenever you decide to make your calendar, it's going to be the most mentally laborious, let's say, because you're going to like actually decide when things are happening, and then you just change it week to week. It's a lot easier once you do that. And I like to habit stack. So habit stacking means that you're just taking something you're already doing and adding to it. So like if you repost your post on, let's say like Tuesdays at 2, then maybe right after that you do your implementation or you do your networking with people. So if you can like stack it together, that can help. Or if you have like a client that ends at a certain time, like right after that client ends, like doing a live or something like that. Um, or like again, for the personal life, we'll talk about like making sure you're scheduling personal time. Like I'm eating my lunch on a call. Definitely wasn't part of the plan this week, but that's okay. And cough, cough eventually. But then like you want to be like working out in the morning after like you wake up. That could be something. Um, then what we're gonna do in a couple weeks, something I like to do is like actually like plan bigger things, like being like, okay, if I know I'm going to be going on vacations and things like this, I don't want to schedule a webinar, for instance, to happen or like a launch or things like that. So we want to make a plan to manage your time intentionally. So the way I like to start it is like by focusing on yourself first and the things that like you can do to make sure you take care of yourself because usually it's the first thing to go for like all of us because we always forget to kind of like take care of ourselves like as we build our businesses. I think a lot of times it comes in part to like, oh my gosh, like I need to focus on like making money first. But every time I go to sit down and do work and I haven't done thought work, it also takes me like 3 or 4 times longer than it would because there's mental drama, there's chatter, there are things like that that like impact my ability to really just show up and do work, you know? So we want to make sure that you're as well rested as possible, eating well, doing those kind of things, and actually scheduling that in. That's really important to do. So that's something I actually want you to put on your calendar, and I want you to block it so people actually can't book over it. Like today, someone booked over lunch, and I was like, I didn't realize it was free. I apparently changed it during the launch or something, and because I got in a little bit like, oh my gosh, I need to have like every minute of my life free so people can book a consult. And that happened today. So lived and learned and gonna make sure that I prioritize that. The next thing you want to do is like build time for relationships. So I have it with outreach. I like to think about that as building relationships with people. And I actually like to schedule that like in my calendar, being like, okay, this is a time that I can put it in. And every time I add, like I just added LinkedIn as another place that I'm posting. And I'm actually including time to outreach with the posting and things like that so that I can make sure that I'm actually nurturing leads there as well. So that's something. Your meetings are going to be pretty much the same unless you're doing like what I mentioned before where they're changing the time every week. Um and for me that's coaching, that's getting coached. For you this is something that you want to have on the calendar. Miscellaneous would be like responding to emails. You guys, that is something that can go by the wayside and something you can hire out in the future. AKA, my VA is about to do all that when I hire them. It's gonna be great. But right now, I'm looking at 1,900 unread emails. And I'm like, that is too many, guys. That's too many emails. And it's stressing me out. Every time I like look at it, I'm like, and I'm just like, I'll make time for that. It's fine in the new year, and that I will. But you want to actually make time for those things. Um, and then results, like actually, like what results do we want to be clear about? So I want to just talk about breaking down results, what that looks like. So there are going to be a couple of things in your business that aren't in the typical routine. The typical things that you're going to have in your routine are networking and doing outreach to bring in, generate and manage your leads. And then there's going to be generate and nurture leads. I call it managing leads and all together. And then there's going to be three things: generating leads, nurturing leads, managing leads, marketing, and planning your week. Really, the only three typical things. There's also going to be consults that you'll sprinkle in whenever they come. So those are like the three to four things. That's why they are the four essentials. However, we want to think about a little bit like if we were to expand out past that, there are going to be some random things that, not random, but like other things that you do to intentionally bring in people outside of that like small initial funnel. And those are things that we want to actually schedule and think through before you just do it. So, 2 weeks from now, you're going to learn how to do webinars, and I'll show you just my process for it. But for every random thing, not random, I keep saying this. I'm like, it's like, when you think not to say a word and then you say it like more because you're thinking not to. Anyways, when you have strategic, like non-routine things, you want to write down the process you're going through to do that. So for a webinar, I have a protocol that I'm going to give to you guys. And it's just like step one, write script. Step two, write slides. Step three, present to people. Step four, talk to all the people on my warm list. Like, so it's going to give you like specific steps. For webinars, you will have that from me. For other things, you're going to have to kind of like figure it out on your own. So I would recommend, like, as you start to notice things that you want to add to your business as additional things to the like core 3 to 4 things, the essential 3 to 4 things, making a list before you do it. So that's what I mean by breaking down your results, writing down all of the things you think it takes to make that new result happen. So for me, for webinars, if I wanted to make sure that I was ready for my webinar, I would do the outline first and I would schedule it. So I'd be like, okay, I know I need to do this. And I actually like straight from the protocol, it's almost like making a separate to do list. I make the list and then I actually like copy each thing. So I would like create script, or it's like script created, if you want to say. I would copy that and put it into my calendar. Does that make sense? So I would literally like just take each thing from the to-do list, like literally copy it and paste it into an event to my calendar. And so I literally would be like, here's the script and potential questions. At this time on Tuesday, make the slides. And then at this time on Thursday, actually do the marketing. So that's like the kind of things that I would do. Now, be warned, this is aggressive. It's an aggressive calendar. It is not that aggressive anymore, but I put everything on the calendar. Everything goes, like my life, my everything. So you do not need to color code like I need to do. You do not need to um go as hard as I do. These are literally just suggestions for things that have helped me. But what I do is I schedule it all. And this was back when I lived in, this is like from 2 years ago, but I would do CrossFit and then I would like be like, okay, I'm gonna prep for consult. And then I had my coaching calls in gray. I had like a gala. So I like even put the gala on here. I need to call my grandmother for her birthday. It's coming up. So it's like I would do that. Like literally everything. Talk with mom, return clothes. Like it was, all of that is on my to-do list. So eat lunch because I will forget. Pick up medication. All of those, even like things like laundry. It's like that's all on here. And so it's important to just kind of like keep that stuff in mind. The other things that are on here is like I would get coached. This is a coaching session, coaching session, coaching session, and a coaching session. So I would do all of those things. Like these are me getting coached. I also did a podcast for 60 episodes. So that I would record here. Um, and like I would go out with people. Like I have all that on here as well. The things that you would see for like the results is like make the presentation. So it was literally just like making the slides. posts planned with pics. That was like my marketing. Outreach. You can see I have on here every day. And you just move it around each day. So the biggest question that I would get from people was like, what happens if life happens? Like, do you move this stuff around? And with the Monday hour one, the way like it is traditionally, which I didn't even realize until this last round, is that people like wouldn't move stuff. I move stuff all the time. And sometimes it does need to be when I talk about like reprioritizing daily, I don't mean like you can't ever reprioritize, but I'll just like swing things around on my schedule. I'll just be like, oh shit, I forgot to do outreach. So I'll just like move it around. Or sometimes I'll just like look back at my list and be like, oh yeah, I need to do outreach today. Okay, let me do that. Um, so those are kind of things that I would do and like make plans for. But you don't have to follow your schedule strict. Like it is not about following it strict. It's just about like making sure you're focusing as a CEO to create the things that are going to bring you the most revenue, making sure that you actually have time for that on your calendar and getting it done. Oh, I see that there are lots of messages in chat. Crap. Sorry, I had it closed. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. Missy, going to remind me about that. Um, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you are here and growing. I'm like, oh yes, I'm loving these. Yes. So yep. Wait, I was like, I've got the so Tammy asked about do I have any favorite request reflection questions? And you know I'm gonna give you my favorite ones. You know I got you. And then the white spaces for reflection time. Um, I would schedule reflection time. So I actually schedule in Monday hour one every week as like time. But then I also have a ton of blank spaces at night. Like I'll show you guys my calendar after this, but like I like once I'm done working, I'm like I'm done. I'm like I go and I was telling my dad this. I was like I go hard 4 to 5 days a week. I was like when I'm working, I am working. But when I am not working, I am out. Like I am chilling on the couch, enjoying hanging out with my animals. I am hanging out with my friends. But I actually like leave that kind of unplanned at the evenings. So I used to plan it and like these like the notes of the pre-event videos, this kind of stuff, that was that I do not do anymore. And like the read the consultation code and stuff like that, I never actually even did. Like so this like white space. This should have just been white space in the evening, but you live and you learn. So for Friday hour done, I like to start with 5 wins. Just like and this might look familiar because this is what we do every week. So we do 5 wins and in your you talk about implementation and breakthroughs, but I you can add in there like what worked, what could use improvement, and what am I going to do differently. And you could actually just knock that shit out during that first 10 minutes of our call if you have time. Like these are not things that need to be done for a extended period of time. I think that a lot of people with evaluations, we get really like locked into there's like a right or wrong way to evaluate and it needs to take a lot of time. And my friend and I, we would just text each other after a consult or even at like for the week and things like that. We would just primarily do it for consults, but we would be like use talk to type and just like knock it out. It does not need to take a lot of time. I just recommend it. Sorry, guys, hold on. But I would recommend just like even if it you can just like answer in your brain these questions, it's going to make you a better CEO every week. What worked? What could I improve? And what will I do differently next week? And then I have these questions. um so I'll give you these questions, but like we want to like think about each week, how could I just make it a little bit better each week? So I have on here, we are making the world a better place. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just so excited for all of you. I really do feel like 2024, I think people are being so mindful about like where they are investing their time and their funds. And I really do think that now more than ever, this is the best time to be in a service based industry. And I think people are hungry for like improvement. I think that 2023 was a weird year for a lot of people. I think like it was a transition year. It was like, and so I think that like this is just like the freaking perfect time to be a coach. And I'm just so excited for you guys. And let's talk through calendaring. So I'll show you my schedule now. It looks very different than it did before. And like I'm going to potentially like, go to my old elementary school on Thursday. And so I'm like, I've got that. But what I'll do is like today, I'll just like for when I do Monday hour one, and I should save this as an example for you guys, but it's kind of like I'll like move this and be like, here, okay, I'm gonna move in LinkedIn engagement, or I might not even do it at all. And this is like literally all I do. I do the same things every week, the exact same things. I only add to my Monday hour one if I know something important's coming up. Like I do need to probably like plan for this webinar that I'm doing. But I'm going to be like, okay, I need to take off LinkedIn engagement. I need to move my posts around. Like, I need to do this. Like, it's just like I make it as easy on myself as possible. I'm like, okay, I do know I need to move these posts. I know Maria's time. So it's like, I literally, this is all I do. You guys are watching Monday Hour One in action. And we'll talk about the monthly checklist later, but I do that on the first week of the month. And I'll just like move things around. Be like, oh, I could probably do this in a shorter time period. Gonna make sure I do that. And that's it. Now, today, if I were like I sometimes, as you guys have seen, I sometimes forget to post my group work for you guys. So it's like I'll forget to post the not necessarily forget, but like I won't post the notes in the replay. So I make sure I make time for that. Now, someone booked a consult call that I didn't see, so I'm gonna probably like do like pre consult work here and just change that around. Make sure I'm ready for my consult and do that later. Now, you guys see how it's like it's just kind of like loading up, like it's like all these things. I doubt that I'm going to do work after I do this tonight. So I'm going to see if I feel like I can do some of these things or I'll just delete them. Like mentally, I'm like, I know it's almost like this is like my to do list for the day. Like, make the video for the Facebook or that one I'll move, but like so it's like these are things that I'm like, okay, I just need to mentally check that off, but it doesn't actually take 30 minutes, if that makes sense. So it's like it doesn't take me 30 minutes to post the group work. It probably takes me like 15. But these are just kind of like things that are the checklist. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I do that. Are there any questions about how I do it? Yeah, isn't that crazy? It does look kind of weird. The Tammy was saying that like all the people inside the group because everyone gets a different notification, so you can see that there. All right, everybody. So take a moment and minimize me. And we're going to make some templates. So I'll put this link in here. Yeah, I don't do it in the exact time it's scheduled. Tammy asked, like, do you do things in the exact time that it's scheduled? And no, it's just that I know that when I do, I have a system for each thing and I just move on to the next thing as fast as possible. I'm like, okay, make sure I talk to 10 people today. Okay, make sure I repost this to my story. Okay, make sure I do this. And post now for me means just repost whatever Tess has posted for me. All right, all right. So go ahead. Yeah, it's so nice to just move things around and be like, wait, I need to do these things every day. And not need to. I would like to do these things every day. And today, if I don't do any outreach, I'm feeling totally content with coaching for a long time from 9 to 7. How many hours is that? 10. 10 hours of coaching, right? Yeah. It's like math. Math is not mathing. Okay. So where it says Monday hour one, This is what you can use if you want, but this is just like, these are just suggestions, really. So you can think about each week. And then if like you want to, you can be like, okay. So the first thing is make sure you know how to take care of yourself. Second thing, make sure you're also scheduling time to build relationships. Like I talk with my little brother every Wednesday, and he's the best. And it's just like a great time to connect. Um, Meetings are appointments that you need to keep. And then results for the CEO scheduling, it's like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. So what you can do is you can just go copy paste on in there. And actually, after you guys make these copies, I'll show you a little trick for it. So if you want to use Google Calendar, you do not have to. So take your Monday hour one, move it to your Six Figure Systems Google Drive, create a new folder, and I like to call it 5 planning, and move this document in there. Then go ahead on back to the classroom, make a copy of the eval, write it down, save it as the weekly eval. And I actually do make a copy and save it to folder 5. There is an option for you to, if you wanted to do a 24-hour audit, for you to just like get intrigued and like write down what you did every day. But that is like, you do not need to like do that for sure. It was just like, if you do this, or maybe your clients might find it helpful, this is there for you too. And you can put it in folder 5. All right. If you guys want to minimize your actual screen and bring the Zoom back up, I'll show you what I was talking about, like with a little hack. So if I know that networking, marketing, planning are all things that are things I want to do, what you can do is just take networking, go to your calendar, create an event, put networking. And I like to do 30 minutes a day, or 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And what I like to do is I just go to repeat. And because my schedule is pretty different each day of the week, I would do it like weekly on Tuesday. Now, if it's something that like you're like, okay, someone could book a consult while I'm networking, like I could just move the networking around. I feel good about that. There's a little icon in Google Calendars where if you click on the left-hand side, it looks like a little suitcase, and you can change it to free, make it whatever color you want. And then you can see each week there's the little same green networking thing at the same time on Tuesday. If you know every morning you want to do thought work at the same time or something like that, you could be like every weekday, I would like to do this. And if you want to do it like repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, you can do it like that too. So that is a quick little thing on that. Now for the monthly checklist, I have it monthly on the first Friday of every month. So you can do it like that too. I have like birthdays and stuff on there too, which is fun. There's also somebody messaged me about like, for any of you that have an LLC, there's a special form that you need to click. And I don't know what the form is, but there's something that I'll send to the group, but she sent it to me yesterday. I reposted it on my story, and I'll post it in the group about like making sure there's like a form with the LLC that apparently all LLCs need to fill out. So that's what I have here as like random stuff that happens annually. Are there any questions? So Tammy asked a great question. She said, "Is outreach and networking are they people that you typically talk to?" And I just have the word outreach every day. And on Monday, if I'm being good about it, I'll Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll do people who I know. Tuesday, Thursday, I'll do new people. But I just have the word outreach because I'll be like, some like yesterday I didn't work. So I was like, I'll do maybe like Tuesday, Thursday, warm, and Wednesday, Friday, cold, or something like that. Any questions? Oh my gosh, I even created a home monthly checklist, which I'm very excited, like of like give Jack's bath, do laundry. Or not laundry every month, but like do the what's it called? The change the air filter. The things I need to remember. Um, Missy asked a great question. She said, for your monthly checklist, do you have specific to these items that you want to keep in mind? I sure do, and it is coming on week 12. So you'll see. I'll give you a sneak peek. But don't worry about that right now. It's just like other stuff. So I would choose, if you want to, you can take like the batching. You can be like, okay, batch monthly, weekly, like actually writing the posts. And then that's what I have here is like create reels for next week. And I think I can totally do that in like 2 weeks or for the month. So I'm like, I can totally do that in a shorter time. So I'm like moving that. Awesome. So, and then I have like the days a week, like reposting to stories. That's like the daily protocol. Um, Friday hour done is just this. And you can just use talk to type. You could literally just be like 5 wins or what worked, 5 wins, what are the results, what needs improvement, and what can I do differently. You're tracking some of this with the handy dandy progress tracker for money, which is helpful. Um, but you in the wins, so you could just take that and copy paste it. It comes to the next thing. Let's see, I was like remembering. I do my monthly marketing template in the monthly checklist. That was Anissa's question. Great, great question. I think the rest of these are self-explanatory. And then I say like 30 minutes to do Friday hour done. And included in Friday hour one, I'll talk about like how to do your monthly checklist and financial planning. Like you'll learn how to do that. It's not necessarily next week, it's in like the next couple weeks. Um, if I want to do content for repurpose content for the Facebook group, I like to do a weekly email. So that's what I have on here is my Thoughtful Thursday email. That's something I have every week. That's kind of like a random thing. Um, if I need to plan for a presentation, I'll like put those line items and you'll see that next we're gonna talk about delivery next week. But I have a protocol list here. So for like webinars, I'll be like, decide dates and I'll just like go through and I'll like check it off. Make a monthly marketing calendar, check, create posts, and I'll like you can like take this and like just put it here. So that's what I meant by like just copying and pasting each of the line items. But we'll talk about that later. I was going so, oh here. So presentations, weekly email if you want to add it. If you want to do a Facebook group or something like that, more than or like a podcast or something, you might need to add that to your calendar. These are just some other ideas for you guys. So this is very similar to the availability thing, but like you could just make a separate document for your availability and then put this stuff in if you want. But you don't really need to like if you don't want to just like actually write out your whole calendar, you can just throw it on the Google Calendar. It is not like this is like you must you must do the whatchamacallit, you must do it in this exact way. It's like, no, it's all very flexible. But it's just like kind of just a guideline for you guys as CEOs of these badass businesses. Are there any questions about land? Ah, the suitcase icon I was talking about. And there might be other questions. But let's say, so let's say for outreach, I can move outreach around. Like I could do outreach, like I don't have to do it at the same time every single week. So you can change if you go into the calendar here and you go into the actual event, or as you're making the event, you can go down to the suitcase icon and actually change it from busy to free. The default, I think, for everybody is that it is always busy, just a heads up. So it'll always be like, if I were to just like go like, something, no one could book a consult from here. And you know that because the little suitcase icon isn't showing. So I'd have to change it manually to free. Or as I'm making the event, I could go something. And you see down here, it has a little busy. You can change it to free. Great question. Okay, hold on. I was like, I see questions in here and I see Tercia. So hold on. I was like, I get these, then I'm gonna get you. Um, I almost want to make a template on my phone for that to go along with self-coaching. So I can verbally, yeah. So you can do it on your phone, or I think Tammy was, so she was like, I want to create a template, I think for the weekly evaluation or something like that. You can literally copy and paste this into notes and do it on your computer or on your phone. Or you can just, if you're on your computer, you can go tools, voice typing, 7 figures, $83,000 a month, which is crazy. I'm like, so it's like I can like put that like down. Like, what? It's like that would be really fucking cool. And these numbers need to get more normal because in my head I'm like, why not? Literally like, why not? Okay, newsletter. How long does it take me in general? My newsletter, I make it in 30 minutes at most. Because I have separate, I have started doing a video in my Facebook group just talking about exactly what I posted for my warm leads, or yeah, my warm lead post. I just repurpose that, do a little bit longer video instead of just doing a reel about it. And I've been downloading that, saving it to YouTube. I think I'm gonna make it a podcast at some point eventually. And then I like literally take the post. Facebook has been everything logged out of my computer also this morning, which was fun. I was literally um like everything. And I was like, what is this? I was like, what's more important than a huge audience? This copy paste. I actually didn't do this post last week. Whoops. You know what's more important? And just paste it in. And I keep the same bottom part. Look, and you're here. You're gonna disconnect me from Instagram too. It's on computer, but it's okay. So that actually is like super fast. Like that is not I don't do any other work for that. Great question. Voice text, yes. Repurposing content, so easy. Teresia, to question.
So I don't know whether it was a question or more of a comment. Like
Yeah, yeah.
my when I look at calendaring, one of the things that I'm struggling with is, I have two children, and so the miscellaneous item is a lot. And so what's interesting to me is I look at a calendar and I feel as though just figuring out how to schedule all the things I do for my children, to run a household, to manage two lives, their school, their health appointments, their medications, etc., in addition to myself. Literally, that calendar would look full on it. Well, maybe that's just my head saying that. So I think for some reason I'm struggling using a calendar. And I'm
Yeah.
saying this with the understanding that I've worked obviously full time before. So I would accomplish that and somehow try and figure out how to do all this stuff for my children and my household. But just it is really overwhelming trying to figure out how to fit it in. That's one. And two, um, what I've been doing is, when you think laundry and I see you had the 1 day of laundry, and the thing I thought is, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. If I don't do laundry for 2 days, there's like three, four loads going on that need to be folded. If they're not folded, and then it's a fight with so and so. So like to me, it just, I don't, I, I'm, it's hard figuring out what a calendar can look like that can capture my day in reality. And I know there's a lot of my mind saying that because
Yeah.
obviously I'm living, and obviously I was able to work, you know, and
The,
obviously grocery somehow was done.
they sometimes get done. So
Yeah.
for that, I actually I was talking with another client about that. She's a newborn and is also like she's like an old client that like she's a general coaching client that I just love, and we've been working together for like 2 years now. But she is a VP of a company too. So she's like also managing all that and things like that. But that's why I have it all in one place too, is to make sure that I've like got all of these things done. I was also talking with another one of my clients. There's a thing called tasks over here. So if you're more of a to-do list kind of person and you're like, okay, I need to get this stuff done, you could do that as well. That could be something. And within the home monthly checklist, I actually have each of the things. So I actually listed out. So I think maybe what could be helpful for the home stuff is keeping a list of the things that you always do. You're like, okay, I need to do groceries, I need to do laundry, I need to do this, I need to do that. And try it both ways and be like, okay, I'm going to try it and have it be like something that happens every Friday. I think that is like at this point in my life, this is my, and we were just talking about this morning with my other group, which is so fun to see like the like parallels. But we were like, she was saying, and I love this quote that it's like being a good like business owner, it's kind of separate, but she was like, it's just a lot of guesswork and keeping good measurements. I'm totally butchering it. I'll look it up. But she was like, it's like guessing. It's like this is my best guess, evaluating and shifting it the next week. So for you, what is your best guess as the CEO of your business and life too? It's like you're the CEO of your life too. That's the way you can think about it. It's like what kind of systems do you want to put in place to make sure your business and life are running smoothly? And how can you like knowing that it's probably not going to be exactly what you say on January 2nd, but like what's your best guess? Like do you think that having like a weekly thing would be good? Do you think that this would be good? Or like doing them as separate tasks would be good? Like what do you think would work like if you
So
need to like move it around like this?
my first thought is the way you categorize things in buckets of self and this and that, and I need to figure out what my other pieces are, I think, as a global thing, like business and family and household, that sort of thing. I do I do like that because then it reminds me, like it really keeps me prioritized because there's a ton of tasks. So that resonated with me, just the way you blocked of time for self. And I don't know, just for some reason, recognizing it and bucketing like it that way and protecting time for the things that are absolute drop dead priorities are just, it resonates with me. Um, so your question was what system would work in terms of to-do lists or scheduling in that way?
And that I
Um,
like to
so I,
systems make me feel safe. So
yeah,
I like
yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
it that way.
And obviously there's a system. My kids have survived, so I'm doing something. So, you know,
Excellent. The
I just,
children have
I
survived.
just, I need to articulate what the system is. I think I like to-do lists. I like the act of crossing things off, and I like being able to sort of hold and carry it in, like, for me, I don't know that it
The
being
tangible.
tactile is just to me, I don't know, it's just I don't want to let go of that. And I think I look at the calendar as bigger things, that,
Okay.
yeah, like laundry, I don't know that I care about it being on my calendar, but I know it needs to get done. But chucking a load in a wash and remembering to put it in the dryer and remembering to fold
It's a
after my
vein of my
shower
existence.
is
Right.
is like, that would, that I know. And trust me, my children literally, I think, just put clothes out and just chuck them in the laundry basket. I don't understand how it just, there's always a lot. um anyway, so I think those things that I look at, I don't know, like daily things, to like, I wouldn't put bath yourself, wash your face, do
Right.
your
Those are kind of
facial
like just
plan.
routines.
Yeah, those are
Like,
like brush your teeth. I expect you to sort of do that when you get out of bed. To me, working out, of course, will include bathing right after.
mhm,
So I don't like, I think those small tasks, I don't think I want to clutter my to-do list.
no,
And I
no.
think tasks that are a little bit bigger than that, even grocery shopping, I want it to be on a list, but maybe the way I should look at it is, are there ways you can block off several hours to really attack some of these things so that it's,
Yes.
together. So that's, I don't
And
know,
that's
how I'm
exactly what I
thinking.
do is like with the household stuff. I'm like, I've got an hour to get this stuff done.
Yeah, yeah.
And that feels really good to me. You can also on your phone, if you want to do something that's more tactile, like you can block it in your calendar, but they also have like one where you can check, like in the note section, you can like
Like you
check it off,
check it
which is
off. Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
also that feature in here. It's this little check one. So if you check it,
Mm-hmm.
you can knock it off
Mm-hmm.
too. Or you could just do straight up pencil to paper. Those are all awesome possibilities. But I think even just like thinking about like one of the things that like it's such a weird thought of mine, but like I like to think I'm like everything has a system. So like I think recently I've been feeling this like last week I got coached because I was like I'm about to probably be going through some pretty large transitions this upcoming year. Y'all will find out when this happens, but like that has been a very large topic of discussion. Planning a wedding feels very overwhelming to me. We are also thinking about moving to Germany, which would be super cool. So it's like lots of fun things on the horizon. But with all that change and things like that coming, it helps me think of like everything as a system. Like it's like anything can be, and another phrase of that, I think Marie Forleo said this or something like, but everything is figure outable. And you came into that thought that it was like you were like, it's challenging, it's hard for me. And it's like, and I'm totally gonna figure it out. I love a good challenge. This is just my next challenge. It's like figure out how to run my business and my household. And like this is the next thing. And something that like Tammy was saying here is that like, were you just gonna say that too? Yes. And it's like if you think about things happening annually, like filing for taxes, that's an annual thing. Monthly, I need to get my ADHD medication. So I put that, but I do put that on the medications and things you mentioned. I do actually have that on my calendar, like ADHD med refill. Um, like Rob's training. Rob has to put like I pick up Rob's medication because he works nights. And so that can be kind of crazy until February. Hopefully he's gonna start working days. Again, lots of transition for me in 2024. But it's one of those things that like that could be helpful to be like just start to notice, okay, these are the things and it's always better if I like it. I find that I always remember things better if I write it down somewhere. And just having one place where everything is written down, I think could be really, really useful. Thanks. I was like, Tammy
Thank
said,
you.
Congrats." And I'm like, I appreciate it. How is that landing for you, my dear?
So I think
And also, I'm gonna need a win um before I'm done with you.
okay. Um so it's it's figure outable. And I think there's going to be some I think I'll start and just lean into evaluating weekly or daily, whatever makes sense, weekly maybe, um, to decide what parts of it are things that I want to take on to the next week. I think it will be a combination of lists, but
Yeah.
it really is the jury is out still how what events rise up to going into those calendars because
Mhm.
I don't want that looking overwhelmed too. And I also think that I'm not a back to back to back kind of human being, so I do need spaces between those.
Mhm.
Um, and like just thinking about my calendaring while taking my own personality and tendencies into account. Yeah,
Hell yeah. And
yeah.
the thing that's fun is like it's like it's like you have figured out so many systems for your life before this. You
Mm.
figured out how to have a job. You figured out how to do this with kids. It's just, I think because you've transitioned to be in your business full time, I think your brain's like, oh, it's new. And I think another helpful thought could be like, this isn't new. I know how to figure out a schedule, and this is just the next stage in my life that I'm figuring out the schedule too, you know?
I agree. I think there's also a thought that creeps in a little bit is this sense that I have this opportunity to create a schedule that works for me. And in the
Yeah.
past, you know,
So
you sort of
free.
are, yeah, it's, and yeah, and so the irony is the freedom, it's stressful, it's creating stress
Yes.
and drama. You know, I was
Hmm.
going to work and that was a 10-hour day. You go there, the commute sucks, and somehow things still worked. But
Hmm.
what I'm finding, it's ironic that what I'm finding overwhelming is I get to choose.
And
Yeah,
I think that the I think it's because you get to choose, and then there's no one telling you what to do. So
yeah,
there's no right next
yeah,
thing to like there's no right schedule. There's
yeah,
just but so if there's no right schedule that's given to you, you just have to have the schedule that you make right.
yeah, yeah.
So just taking back that control and being
Mm,
like, okay, it's like right now I've got more time than maybe I've even ever had. And instead of being like, oh my God, like I feel a, because one of the words that's coming to mind, and let me know if this resonates with you, was I felt like a lot of responsibility around the time and it stressed me out. Like it was
mm.
like, I felt like I was like, I don't know what to do with this
Yeah,
time.
no one's telling you what to do. It's yours to figure. Yeah, yeah, right.
And it was almost like
Yeah.
I have a duty and responsibility because now I'm full time in my
Mhm.
business, and it's like very like you know what I mean. There was lots of thoughts that I had. I don't want to offer you any unhelpful thoughts. I just want to normalize that if anyone else has experienced that. And I think that for you, just being able to like, I think there's a thought about your time that might be a limiting thought, and bef- like I think what's it's like there's a thing called thought stopping. So you can have a thought and a feeling and then not pause. It's like pausing the model here. It's like, so we want to pause the model, whatever model is like making you feel stressed with the freedom.
Mhm.
And we want to think about something that's a little bit more empowering instead. So what do you think the thought is like? It's like, I get to make the schedule. That's a C. Like you get to make the schedule. What's your current thought about it? Or how do you feel when you think about making a schedule? Maybe that'll give a thought.
I think the thought is I don't know how to fit it all in. Like I don't know how to create a structure around what apparently I'm already doing. And I think on top of that, it's in light of I'm trying to also build a business and build
Mhm.
a whole new thing. And so I'm just sitting there in like being confused.
Okay. So we can pause that there. We can recognize that and be like, okay, like I notice that I'm feeling this confusion. It's totally fine for me to feel confused for a little bit. It makes sense. I've experienced a lot of changes and transitions and shifts. And I can also see that this thought, I don't know how to fit it all in while building something new, has kept me in this spin cycle that I'm not really loving right now. So instead of thinking, I don't know how to fit all this in while building something new, we're going to pause this model and you're going to notice it come up. It'll either be you notice the thought or you're going to start to notice the feeling. You're going to build a ton of awareness over this next week and months about when that comes up. And I want to have another a redirection. You can think of it like a roadblock. So essentially you've got this neural pathway that's just like going in like almost like a NASCAR circuit. It's like it's you just have this circuit that's going around and around. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. We want to create a roadblock and another path for your brain to go in when you have that, when you notice it come up.
Okay.
So what would you like to think instead?
Um, okay, so I'll tell you what I'm thinking. There's a sentence in there. It
Hmm.
just is a lot of things.
Okay, okay.
There
Give me
is
all the sentences.
something, there's something about, so I'm calling bullshit at the idea that things are not working, happening, right? So obviously things are happening.
Mhm.
Your children are being taken care of. You have a system in place. So I guess it's um the thoughts I'm having is you need to understand the system you have and what works for you.
Mm,
And you now need to pay attention to the things that to mm, pay attention to results that you to well then you know the results. So I know there's a system in my household that's functioning. I know that there's certain results I want in my business. So the question is, um, and the thing that I'm adding that's new is business and somehow trying to fit in household and life in that. So household and life has been done, and that I know how to do. I just probably haven't documented it. And so I'm superimposing and creating space for business in this already existing system. So I guess I have questions. It's how do you do the goals? How do you create a system to execute the goals while creating space for you to do something new? Like there's an emotional piece to how I feel when I'm doing new things.
mm,
Part of it
mm.
is, you're right, it's a doubt, it's a fear. So of course, like pay attention to that and create space for your humanness, right?
Mhm.
And have a system for that. So that's those are the thoughts that are swimming
And
through my mind.
I think that like we just want to turn the question and make it like a strong statement. It's
Okay.
like I don't know the system to create goals. I don't know the system for this yet. It's like I am making
Mm,
my system for goals. I am making like it's like just taking that instead of being like, I don't really know what the system is for goals yet, being like, I am learning or I'm making this takes the instead of it being like outside of you, like you know what I mean? It's like because right
yeah,
now it's like
it's like you own
it's
it. Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know the
yeah.
system for goals. Like there's just some sort of system that's just out there. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Okay.
like the it's like
Yeah,
some sort of
yeah,
schedule that's out there. There must be some way. And there is a way. There are a million ways, and I get to choose the one that's right for me.
yeah, yeah.
You know? How does that feel instead of confused?
Well, it doesn't feel like a problem. It
Ah,
feels,
I love that.
yeah, it just doesn't feel like a problem. It
Because the
feels,
problems are created in our mind.
yeah, it feels like, oh, okay. Um, like I don't know, there's a sense of clarity, there's a sense
Mm,
of, okay, these are the knowns and these are the unknowns,
mhm.
and you're just these are the places where I'm clear about the unknowns and I'm clear about what I'm working towards. And therefore the plan itself isn't a problem. The whole point is you're trying to figure that piece out.
Yes. Yep. And that's all business is. When we were talking before, it's like literally just like kind of get this is I'm doing my best guess at what I think the plan is
Yeah,
and tweaking as I go and
yeah,
collecting really good data so that I am making the best decision I possibly can in the moment I That is.
Yeah, that's helpful. Really helpful.
So glad. I love this. So damn good. How are you feeling now?
Um, I'm feeling like I've got a problem to solve. So
Good. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like we just have a problem to solve. We're just gonna figure it out.
yeah,
Oh, so good. And real
yeah.
quick,
It's
what
like
is a
it's
win before you go too?
a win today.
Yeah, or just in general in the past
Is
couple weeks.
in general. Well, I think it's I don't know, going into 2024 is like I don't want to like I really want to honor who I am and how I show like my core way of being. I have anxiety, I have this, and why do I aspire to create schedules that belong to other people who have feelings or sort of a structure of being that's not my own. So I really want to have a life and build and like experience the next 365 days in a way that really honors who I am, not allowing me not to do hard things, but honors me to in doing that in a way that works for me.
Damn, that was so good. So
Yeah.
well said. Said. I was like, it was so well said. I love that. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
going.
Thank you.
Like, that was some really beautiful coaching. I
Mm,
love that.
thanks.
All right. I was like, Jess, or bring it. Start with a win. What you got?
Hi. Okay. Hang on. I feel like I should go back to my sheet. I'm trying to remember one that I put down.
I
Oh,
know. I know.
um, I created I did my posting spreadsheet. I have topics in there for a full 30 days, which turns out to be 6 calendar weeks. And I just need to create the um the captions and the graphics for them. But I started posting yesterday. I did my post this morning. Yeah, I used a really fun chat GPT prompt to help me. So I will put that in the group chat for you guys because it was great. And it formatted it into a table and it's a beautiful thing.
Love
Um,
AI.
yeah,
Technology's
so that was
great.
a big win.
Huge win. What can I
Yes.
help
I'm
you
like,
with
how can I
today?
use these things to work for me instead of
Yes.
feeling like I don't know what the hell I'm doing all the time?
Right.
Um, well, I took a lot from Teresia's coaching because I feel like I know exactly where you're at. And I have been struggling with that for the last few months, where it's just like being in charge of your own time feels so cumbersome when you're used to only having this much and now you have this much. And I'm just like, what do I do with myself? That was part of the reason I signed up for this mastermind was to help me with that. So I fully understand where you're at. Um, what I feel like I am currently coming up against is I am starting a part-time position next week because I have not been generating the revenue in my business that I was hoping to be at this point, which is totally like I'm okay with that. I know it's going to take time to do it the way that I want to, and that's all right. Um, but I have tendencies to take on too much at once. And it's funny how opportunities all kind of come at you at the same time. And then it's like the universe is making you choose. So I have another opportunity that is not going to give me immediate income, but the long term, in a nutshell, it's being the director of sales for a project that is at the very beginning phases of funding in exchange for very early shares in a company that could potentially sell for multi-millions. Um, Very cool, super in my wheelhouse as far as sales go. The guy that I would be working with is awesome. So I feel really called to do that. But in addition to this, in addition to starting this new part-time job, I'm a multi-passionate person. I know I always will be, and I foresee my long-term business having multiple branches of different things like philanthropy, like just a lot of different things. And so I need help managing my mind around number one, making the decision and feeling comfortable and confident in my decision. And then also managing my mind because I know my calendar will be looking like what your example looked like. And I I don't know if I can handle that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. I love this. And first, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said, I need help managing my mind and making the decision. So I want to know, what are the things that are going on in your mind that need managing?
Okay. I get really, really excited about things. I think you talked about this last week or the week before, and you're like I'm a quick sell. Like
Hmm.
I've been in sales my entire life. And when I am sold, I am in. And I get very excited about different opportunities and have a tendency to just jump before thinking it all the way through. And so I I feel like I'm giving it enough thought, but I'm also scared that I'm going to just jump. Um, I also am a person that sees very clearly the long term and the big picture, and very much like on all those personality tests, I'm like dreamer category.
Hmm.
Um, and I tend to be a little unrealistic.
Hmm.
Like sometimes I need to bring myself back down to earth. So I'm trying to manage between being really freaking excited about something that sounds not only very financially lucrative for me down the road, but sounds like a really big potential disruptor in the financial industry and can be a really big shift for society in general. Like that sounds kind of huge,
Love
but I do
it.
think it has a lot of potential. And so I'm excited, but I don't want to be naive, I guess.
Hmm. And I think that this it's coming to you, I'm guessing, because you've made decisions in the past, and maybe it was something, a situation where you took off more than you could chew. So I think that this is a I think I understand why your brain is bringing this to you, and I want to give you a decision making tool that I know will help you. But before we actually make the decision, I want to just offer that the thoughts that you are having about the way you made decisions in the past seem to have like just a slight like tinge of negativity and distrust with yourself. You know,
Mm,
it's like, it sounds like you're like, I'm a dreamer. I'm, when I'm sold, I'm all in. And it's like, I jump before thinking it all the way through is like it's like, it's, and I think that if we build this decision with this foundation, I just want to like clean it up a little. You know,
okay.
it's like a great lawn that we already have. And I'm just like, see a couple of like little thoughts that I'm like, because it's like, I'm a dreamer. I've made all the right decisions. I've done the things that were best for me. And now I'm thinking about the way I make decisions differently versus being like, I'm not, it's like I make decisions too quick. Like, it's like, do you see, I'm like, just like giving it a different flavor of thought before
Yeah.
you then go into making this decision. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about yourself right now. It's like, what are the kind of thoughts that you're like I want to just like be like, what is a thought that you can think about? Like, I'm really good at making decisions, and I want to make a and I'm going to make a good decision this time. Like something like that. Like just like, because there's, I'm sure,
Yeah.
a plethora of thoughts. And this is like, instead of being like a roadblock, we're just gonna go like straight intentional right now.
Okay. Um, okay. Let me think.
And this is not toxic positivity for like anyone who's like thinking about this. Like, this is something sometimes I found it really, really helpful. And this is totally just my perspective, but I found it like sometimes it's really helpful to go down and figure out what all my unintentional thoughts are about me and decision making and stuff like that. Other times it's like I'm looking and digging and just like kind of finding stuff that like doesn't help. And I'm just like, wait, this is like, it's like, yes, these are things that I need to work on, but it's like I'm almost like searching for like something versus just trying to build something new.
Yes. Yes. No, I totally agree. And I think I
Ooh.
do that too. I think what's interesting about what you just said is I'm thinking about how I've approached this. You know, I had the first conversation about this project 2 weeks ago now, and obviously with the holiday and stuff, it probably would have progressed a little bit faster. But my initial reaction was, I'm really excited. It sounds like an amazing opportunity. Let me get more information. And so
Yes.
that is a great first step
Mm-hmm. About
instead of, like just blindsided, like, yeah, let's do it. Um, and then after that second conversation where I did get more information, I have been very clear about what I can commit. And that's what the next conversation is going to look like. Like, I really want to be a part of this project because I do. I think it's like really crazy cool. And I think it could help a lot of people. But the 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 pessimist in me is like, you have too much already. And
Mhm.
so, but I want to be conscious of avoiding burnout, which has been a really big priority for me through the
Mhm.
back half of 2023. And kind of similar to what Teresia said, I really just want to be true to myself as I go into this next year and make sure that I am supporting myself, my health, my well-being, so that I can show up fully for these things that I want to be a part of. Um, and I know that that's my intention, and I'm going into it with much more clarity than I feel like I would have in the past.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's still a little bit of distrust, I guess, is a good way to put it, that
And
I'm
so it's
gonna
like
that I'm gonna overcommit.
how to trust myself. It's like so it's like whatever we see in like an emotion come up and we want to have the experience of getting a way I like to think about it is like if we have an emotion that comes up like distrust and meaning that I want more trust, it's like I'm learning how to experience like trust. For me, like
Okay.
one that I've had to practice a lot in this business is like I'm learning how to experience like creating safety for myself. It's like I'm learning how to like say Teresa, I'm learning how to create a schedule that works for me. It's like whatever is um like not necessarily like a negative emotion because emotions aren't necessarily negative or positive, but like if you ever see yourself like desiring something, changing it to be like a sentence that's like I'm learning how to experience this. I'm growing to experience this. So one of the things that you said before is like distrust about past decisions. And I have here like I'm someone who learns from each decision I've made. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
like that.
and then that makes it every decision is the right decision for me. It's like it just literally and another thing that I was saying, that like there was things like that I'm a dreamer and I like put like a little tab here because it's like instead of saying that in a way, I'm like, oh, I'm a dreamer every time. It's like, I'm a dreamer. That's why I'm a CEO. It's like, I
Right?
would not be a CEO if I didn't dream big. It's like, I'm a visionary and that's like the best skill ever for a CEO. I'm unrealistic. And it's like, that's one of the best things ever. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I am a quick sell. That is a strength. Like, see, I think that there's a
Right. I
saying.
make quick decisions.
Yes. It's like I like your perceived weaknesses are also could also be your perceived strengths unrealized. It's all about your perception,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that this is like, yes, it is like that's exactly what Tammy just said. I keep hearing visionary, not dreamer. I'm like, yes, it's like so good. It's like so it's like when we are like becoming these CEOs, it's just like really being mindful and like noticing it's like, oh, okay. It's like I'm a badass decision maker. I learn from every single decision I make. I also added I'm learning how to support myself in the best way possible. And you mentioned like I don't want to overcommit. And so I just changed it to like I am someone who is learning to communicate my
Mm-hmm.
needs so I don't overcommit.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
so I was just like taking like different thoughts and like just kind of like switching it to like that learning piece is just like badassery in its
Yeah.
purest form. So, as this incredible decision maker, how does that feel? How do you want to feel as you make decisions, not just about this decision, but you're going to make a lot of decisions in this business. How do you want to feel as you make decisions as a human, like for all the
Yeah,
stakeholders?
I want to feel confident, and I want to feel, yeah, I think just confident.
That's what I was thinking too. You say comfortable
Yeah.
and confident in your decision, which is funny. That's how we
Yeah.
started. So
Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
about, and then you said like, I don't know if I can handle it. It's like, I'm learning how to handle all of this,
Yeah. Well,
learning.
and it's funny too, because I think about what I've, I mean, again, I got so much from Teresia's coaching, because it's like when she said something about like I had a full-time job and my kids are still alive. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
like we can handle we can handle so much, but to her point also, just like not putting ourselves in survival mode as a result of trying to take on too many things. And I feel like in the past I've almost taken on things in a graspier sort of nature, where it's not about an abundance of options. It's about I have to grab all of these options because I don't know which one's going to end first.
Mhm.
And that doesn't feel like this time. Like it
Yes.
doesn't feel like I'm going to abandon all of the progress I've made within my own business in order to take on these extra opportunities. It just feels like they're extra opportunities for me right now, because I'm up leveling my belief in my ability, and like my my CEO mentality. Like, I mean, did my calendar for this week, and I have a chunk in the morning, it's CEO tasks. And like, even just seeing that on my calendar, I was like, oh yeah, like that's awesome. It's like,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, like the thing that I think is so like the word CEO is so empowering to me. Like it might not be for
Yeah.
everybody. That's like if you're from corporate or something, you might have like very negative connotations. But for me, I always feel like such a badass when I'm like, I'm a CEO of a fucking business. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
doing the damn things. So it's like interesting to like feel that. And also like if you like that, that feeling of survival and just like the reason why I had such a full schedule when I first started my business, like my schedule didn't need to look that full. And I reflecting back on it, I was like, why was I trying that? And I had a partner that was pushing me a little bit into that survival mode who was not super supportive, not the guy who I'm
Yeah.
currently with. And he was like, well, what are you doing with your 40 hours a week? He was like, obviously, like you're wasting like time, just like, so there was like lots of thoughts about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another, and then I realized, like, coming back to what Teresi was saying, like, it's like, is this the life I want to live? Like, is this actually what I want to do? And I realized I was like, no, it's like, I do not want to work.
Yeah.
It's like not necessarily even productive for my brain. So it's like, I think that you are in a really good place to make this decision. And also the really cool pieces when we're thinking about even like, and this is like an interesting transition. I promise I'll bring it back. But it's like when we're thinking about sales, that's when I typically use these questions. Reasons
Mm-hmm.
why and why not. And want you to like when we are selling, this goes for everybody. When you are on a sales call, you are believing in someone's ability to transform into a different version of themselves. And in
Right.
order to make that decision, we have a clear picture of like essentially it's like you can picture yourself like doing this and not doing this, right? And that's exactly the same decision that all of our potential clients are making too. They're having like, do I coach? Do I not coach? That is the question. So you're having a
Yeah.
question in your mind. And the better you can get at making decisions, it's going to be a lot easier to help other people too. And so if you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking for like the reasons why would this be a good thing for you?
I think I think it's going to challenge and stretch me to get to that next level that I'm looking for. I know the value that I can bring to something like this. And one, the fact that, so like the the picture is it's three men who have been part of this project for about a year. The guy that wants to bring me in knows that uh they need a female on the higher end part of this board. And we worked together previously, so he knows my work ethic and what I bring to the table from a sales perspective. And so one, it was very empowering to be thought of for something like this. I was like,
Mhm.
that's badass that I'm the person that you thought to call and talk to about this. The other part that was really exciting is that I immediately saw all the pieces coming together before he had to bring it to my attention. And I think that that's probably part of the reason he wanted to talk to me about it.
'Cause
And
you're a
I
visionary.
have a, yeah, I have a very strong calling and draw to do something that's much larger scale for helping people that are completely underserved. And this would allow me to do that. Um, and like the financial piece is really exciting, but that's not even the biggest part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me tells me that it's bigger and that is a huge draw.
Yeah. So what are your reasons why not?
I'm afraid it's too much. That's the only reason.
Mhm. So when we think about this, it's like, okay, so looking at these two things, what decision do you want to make?
I want to be a part of it.
I think you want to. It's like, so
Yeah.
from this, then we get to use what's called strategic pessimism. We're going to talk about that with goal setting at um at one of the last sessions. But we want to use your brain to be like, okay, I know I could take on too much. This is a
Hmm.
problem I'm already foreseeing. How can I already create a strategy to overcome this obstacle? Like if you do
Hmm.
take on too much, what can you do instead?
Yeah. There are ways that I can ask for support in other areas of my life. I have thought through that. Um, and it requires me to ask for help, which is uncomfortable, and rely on other people, which is also uncomfortable.
Mm,
And so I have a tendency not to do that, but I am learning how important it is to focus my energy. And I actually just started reading this book, which you may have mentioned. I don't know. It's called Essentialism. I can't remember. I heard it somewhere
no,
else.
I've heard of it so much though. Somebody might have
Um,
talked
o-
about it on this call.
I am
You did
only
it.
like a little bit
It was
into it, and
like,
holy shit,
yes,
like it is on everything on my 2024 goals is eliminating non-essential
yes.
because it's just noise. So this is something that I am learning how to do and becoming better at. But yeah, I can ask for support in other areas. I can just better prioritize my time, which I have noticed I've improved at in the last month or two. Honestly, a lot of what we've covered in the last month has been just so incredibly helpful from that perspective. Um, but I know that I can continue to fine tune that and be more productive. More productive with purpose, I guess, is a better way to put it, because I don't want to be busy.
Yes. And like that's
Yes, Tammy.
literally like what you started the call saying. You're like, I'm in charge of my own time. What do I do with myself? It's like I'm going to be productive with a purpose. That is what I'm doing. Intention set 2024. Let's go. How do you feel now?
I feel good. I feel like I can't wait to talk to him and see how I'm going to make this work.
Me too. I can't wait for you to report back to us. So amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Kick butt
you.
and let's go.
Yes,
I love
thank
it.
you.
Tammy, bring it, girl.
Hi. Okay, so that last session was awesome. I'm literally like taking notes and I'm like, oh, that's so good. This is so good. Um, I'm geeking out. So thank you so much for sharing like all y'all like Tercia and Jess and just everybody. I learned so much from when you all share and get coached. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I had that thought. Oh, that's so good. So thank you.
Amazing. Start us
Um,
off with a win for you too. I was like,
okay. I'm gonna pull up my sheet here. My win is getting over COVID.
oh my gosh,
I
I'm
ended
so
up
sorry.
it was great. We spent Christmas. I mean, I spent Christmas with it. It was wonderful. So I'm
You win
healing
them
from that.
all.
I know,
I'm so
right?
glad.
I know. And even in the process of it, I had a couple people reaching out to me going, "Hey, I think I want to book a session with you." And I'm just like, "Yeah." Because I do, again, like a little reminder, I do paid consults because of the debt
Right.
consulting component of it. So like
Yeah.
when I do those, it's like they're either going to upgrade into working with me for a series of sessions or they got what they need in that one session. Either way, good. So that was awesome. Um,
And also they're coming in even when you're sick and even when you're not working. Like that
right?
is fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And
I
then
love it.
the really cool thing was the grace that my current mindset coaching clients have given me with being sick, because I know for a fact, like even 3 months ago, I would have pushed through to show up unless I was like hacking along or whatever to try and get through the calls. And it was like, no, I was processing this and I'm like, no, I want to be able to show up in my best version of myself to serve them at a higher level. So I get to actually listen to my body and rest and allow them to reschedule the time. So that was like a kind of like a side win with I feel like God's telling me it's okay, rest. Like have faith in me to be your provider. Stop putting it all on yourself and stop being such a control freak.
I
So,
literally like I called out on Thursday and Friday and I was like
Mm.
I actually had I started a coaching call and I just got coached halfway through the day on Thursday and I was like I genuinely don't think I can like do this. And she was like my coach Jackie, who's wonderful, she was like this is an important skill that you're going to need for the rest of your life. You're going to have to drop things. There's going to be shit's going to hit the fan and I want you to get on this next call and I want you to learn the skill of saying, I'm so sorry. I had to move a consult that day. I had to move 3 coaching calls the following day. And I would say that that is a huge win for you as a CEO is like learning how to be like, I'm just going to not only grace with the current clients, but learning how to be that level of yourself, like up leveling as a CEO in that way is a huge thing. And so I'm really proud of you. Like
yeah,
that's
thank you.
huge.
Yeah.
So
And then even like grace for myself in the process of it instead of beating myself up, going like, oh, I'm only hacking along. What's wrong with me? I can still coach. I still know how to tell people, you know, like the financial things and the mindset and the money things. Um, but having that grace just to take a step back and literally just rest and, you know, be present with my family and stuff. So that
and I
was
think
really
that's a
cool.
sign that you trust yourself in your business a little too, which is really fun.
Learning to, yeah, absolutely.
Learning too. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. So that being said, I am processing through a couple of things
Okay.
where I was doing my thought download and kind of got stuck on a couple things here. So
Hmm.
I was thinking through and going, okay, I'm fearful that what I have is not unique enough or fine-tuned enough to offer because there are so many other mindset coaches
Oh.
out there. Oh, hi, cutie pie.
I was like, we appeared. I love it.
Love you. Okay, you get to go play with the tablet now. Go get it. You know where it is, buddy. So I was working through that, but then also I was working through um just like the COVID, like apparently COVID does stuff mentally to you. And I had no idea about this. And
People
I'm like,
being
oh,
like just being like also sick in general, like you start to feel like weird down. Also, do you
yeah,
I was like, is there a certain gentleman that could use I was like, if you need a minute, you can take that too. I was like,
yeah. You mean,
hey, you got it. I was like, I know. But like also how awesome is this that we can have businesses and lives and like we get to do both. Like I love
mhm,
having like moments like that. So I'm so glad.
yeah,
And you said is it unique and thoughtful enough? And then there was lots of like
yeah.
emotional stuff going on with COVID.
Yeah. And then it's like, even with that, like I'm literally sharing like all the thoughts that popped up. So I'm working through the hard mental blow of having COVID.
Hmm.
Um, and then at the same time, working through my husband who wants to do taxes completely differently, which would put us in a higher tax bracket.
Mm.
And like he's like, oh, we're talking about it, and the way for me to do it would be that it has to be a C corp, and I'm not making enough to validate that structure of it. It makes no financial sense whatsoever.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, no worries at all.
So there's that component. And then also, like, it makes no financial sense, but it's also causing me just to want to go back to being a W-2 employee and forego being a business owner, because then our tax bracket would be what it, you know what I mean? There wouldn't be a higher or a lower.
Okay.
And then I'm just like, well, that sucks for business. How the heck am I going to help people if I go back to being W-2
Yeah.
full time?
I
I'm
was
not,
like,
you know what I mean? So
well,
like,
mhm. Yeah, I'm feeling all these things. And so I think that the first thing that I want to like just a little like mini thought shift. It's just interesting because I know that you did not say it's just like so interesting because you can like hear your subconscious. You're like a hard mental blow. Like it was like this is it's everything. It's sounding really heavy right now, and I want to just do a quick like just shift to be like these are interesting opportunities that have presented themselves, and this is what we're working with, and we're rolling with it. Now with the cool thing, the interesting part that your brain, I think, maybe hasn't considered is like if you have a business, a lot of times we get stuck in a mindset that we have a capped income. So it was interesting because I was talking with my coach about this, and I was like talking to her about like my personal expenses and things like that. And because we were trying to figure out how much to pay myself and all these different things. I'm learning a lot for you guys. But she was like talking about I was like, I would kind of just like to make more instead of like budgeting. I was like, I want to work with this coach and I kind of just want to make the money to work with this person. And so it's like we could do the go back to work and do that and be in a lower tax bracket, or we could just make more so that the taxes don't affect you. Like the that doesn't affect you in the same way. How does that feel?
it's almost like, okay, so November I had a record month. December
Mhm.
was like literally very close considering I didn't work the whole month, and I
Mhm.
had made half or close to half of what I made in November by December 7th. So I'm kind of sitting there going,
Mhm.
and so my brain is, I think there's like a negative bias going, yeah, you can't do that again. You know what I mean? Like
I
you
think so.
couldn't
And that's
possibly.
why I was like, and then that,
Um,
you know, what's so cool because then it comes back to right here. That's why you're having, I think, this thought because the sea changed. In November, did you think your offer was unique and thoughtful enough for people?
I think it was around that time you and I had started talking about just focus on mindset coaching instead of trying to do like the financial stuff, just focus on mindset. And then like I started doing that, and then all these people came up going, we need debt help. And I'm like, oh, well, those are one-offs. Those are so
Oh,
easy.
okay. Hmm.
And then like in addition to that, like that's when I launched my 6-week budget blaster thing, and I had several people sign up and not bat an eye at the price. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Initially it was supposed to be a group thing, but it turned up that like the times they could meet were not lined up. And then also a learning thing for me because I've never like launched a group paid
Thing.
for um, mastermind, if you will, on that kind of thing. So I think part of it was me kind of taking the easier road, going, you know what, let me just work with them one by one. It'll give me more data. It'll be paid market research. I'll be able to help them
Hmm.
individually and stuff and better cater to them. So that's what was going on with that. And now it's like we're into it, and I'm seeing progress and I'm seeing things. But I think what's shifted is like, oh, now I'm also seeing on my feed everybody else who offers the same thing. They've been doing it longer. They have butt tons of testimonials. And not
Mm,
gonna lie, I signed up for one of the programs because
hmm.
they were very God focused, which I freaking love. God as CEO. And I'm like, I need some more of that in my life. So I was
Love.
like, I signed up and I'm learning tons from it, and I'm grateful, you know.
Mm.
So like I'm kind of going, oh, now there's little drops of competition, and it's like, wait, no, there's no competition in the kingdom. God has shown me what's possible. possible if I can stay my course and stay in my lane and stop trying to move into other people's lanes. So like I see that. But yeah, that's the key
I think
thing.
that that's like, I think that's what's been going on. And I think that your brain is like looking for like when you make half, then it looks for like it looks for reason. So it's like, well, I should be maybe offering debt because it was all came from the debt. And maybe it's the offer and maybe it's the competition. So your brain is helping you. It's trying to solve a problem. I just don't think it's I want to give you a different problem to focus on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's trying to solve a problem for why you made half. And it's like from a mindset that like it's almost like it's like you're trying to solve a problem from there being a problem, and I want to solve the problem that there's no problem and we just want to make things better. Does that make sense? I was like, so it's like essentially your
Mm,
brain is like, there's a problem, I made half. I have to figure out the reasons why I made half
no,
versus
no,
figuring out how to have another great month.
no. My brain is going, oh my gosh, we made half and we were sick. We're like it's a massive celebration,
Okay, okay, okay.
right? Massive celebration there.
But then
And then
why
now
the thought that like
enter January where I'm going, oh, because I think I've had so much downtime and like sitting and
mm,
scrolling and like, like I don't know that like could I have put content out while I was kind of like high emotions and not feeling well? I'm sure I could have. Would it have been my best? Probably not. And like even still, I did put stuff out there, trickled stuff, like not aggressively, not consistently or anything.
but where's
Um,
that thought I can't do that again? Where is that coming from then? That's the thought. You're like, like instead of, because when I was talking about like you making more to solve for the taxes, I was like, there's a thought in there about something.
there is, and I think it's elements of that.
Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something in here.
I think maybe the can't do that again ties off of the what I have is not unique enough, which is why I can't do that again, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe there's like a circle going on there.
I think so. And or it's like I can't do that with just mindset coaching. Just mindset coaching.
And maybe that's what because like November was my record month for signing the most people at my top pricing. And then in December, what happened is one of my gals who was doing a payment program just said, hey, I've got the rest of the money. Can I just pay you off instead of making monthly payments? And I was like, sure, like,
For sure.
right. So, and then I think like part of it too is having all that time off and I'm kind of going, oh my gosh, that the bills don't stop coming in because I was sick
Mm-hmm.
and feeling behind the eight ball and stuff. So like this is some of the stuff that I've been processing through. Um
Mm-hmm. Well, and
and
that so it's like this thought that the time off, like it's like, yeah, bills don't stop keep going. The bills don't stop coming in if I'm
yeah,
sick.
the bills don't
So
stop coming in if I'm sick. So my I think that on a subconscious level, I think I think it's like time off was a penalty box.
yep. And not only I think just if I was thinking in your thing, if I was thinking your thoughts, I think that you feel a little unsafe with your business right now. I think it feels scary because it's like you took time off, you did what you needed to do, and now you're experiencing like a penalty. I think it feels a little scary. Um, and like, so that's why your brain is looking to things like W-2, being an employee. Like, I think that's where your brain is trying to seek safety in
Yeah.
those ways. Also, I
Yeah.
realize what time it is. Do you have time to keep going? I was like, I'm so
I-
sorry I didn't
yeah,
even ask. I was like, I've
I
got
do.
another like 30 minutes. I was like, what? So if anybody needs to go, I love you dearly, but I think that this is going to be really helpful because I think that, so I think it feels scary and unsafe. because you're looking at a lot of things that are outside of your control. And
And me
and
being
I think
a
your brain is
control
trying to put
freak.
a little, not, and it's not a control freak. It's like you're just seeking safety. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to know, like, and I was like, originally I wrote, like, how would you know that it's unique and thoughtful enough? And I want to know, like, just an added layer to that is like, what would safety look like for you? What would it,
Safety would
you know
look
what I
like,
mean?
yes, and I can answer that.
Mhm.
Safety for me looks like walking into the month with my basic needs already met. Safety for me in this case, like if I were to walk into the month already having 4,000 in guaranteed funds so that I could keep investing in my business the way I want to, covering bills, paying things off, like keeping that. And then anything above and beyond that, sweet. Now I have, more to do whatever with, right?
Mhm.
And that kind of thing. That would be safety for me. And I'm not a shy of November. And well, no, because the money happened during the month. It wasn't like I walked into the month with it guaranteed. It happened during the month. Um,
So it's like, one of the things that we want to do is to be like, okay, so we know that your brain is like 4K is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the R line of 4K. I would like to create that in my business. Now, there are things like what Jess was saying, and I didn't get a chance to mention this to her, but it's like, she was like, I could also go back and get a part-time job. Like, I can make this happen in this way. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So it's like, we want to be like, tell your brain, like, we can totally go back and do this W-2 if we need to. We can totally go back and get that. But it's not what I feel like I'm being called to do right now. I don't feel like this is what I'm. So it's like, we want to create safety in your brain enough for you to focus on your calling, essentially. So it's like, we want to be like, hey, brain, I hear you. I hear you that you want to make 4K. I can always go back to get a job, but right now, I would really like to focus on building 4K just with mindset coaching in my business. I want to do that and so much more this month. When would, like, when does your brain, like, cuz it's like, one of the things that, like, I would do is, like, I would be like, okay, it's like, I'm gonna give myself a year. Like, I gave myself a year to be like, I'm gonna go for it. If I make zero money, I'm gonna be okay. But I really want to go for it in this year, or like different time periods. So it's like, when I had that like thought in my brain, I was like, okay, I am good, I am safe. And when, like, it's like, if I need to go and get a job, I will. It's like, I'll totally go back and do that. I'm like, no problem at all. But what would the time frame be for your brain? What would you need to be like, okay, it's like, I'm going to learn how to do this, and then worst case scenario, I can always do something else too.
well, my husband and I had that conversation, and like the time
Yeah.
window he gave was till March of this year.
Okay. So we're good. So let's, but within the 3 months, it's like, anytime your brain is like, I like, we just want to direct all the energy now. Be like, yeah, we'll talk in March. We'll talk at the end of March. But right now, let's focus on bringing 4K in. Done it before. I know I can do it again. And so it's like, if we're thinking about that, then all of your energy can go to the problem solving of 4K. And that's what I meant. Like, I just want to solve a better problem. When I was like, it's like, I want to focus on like solving the problem of like, okay, I'm going to learn how to sell anything, any offer to make 4K. Like, that's a skill set I want to have in this lifetime. I want to learn how to sell literally anything and make 4K. Right now, the anything that I am choosing is mindset coaching. So how many mindset coaching clients would you need to make 4K a month?
I mean, it depending on if they did a payment plan
Let's
or
go for the most conservative, like if they did a payment plan.
if they did a payment plan, it would be 4.
Okay. So when we're thinking like this, it's just a skill that we want to have. It's like, okay, so brain, a skill that I used to want to have in this lifetime is learning how to generate 4K months with my brain just by signing 4 clients a month. And so it's like, so if that's the goal of 4 clients a month and 4K and 4 clients, we want to do that in January. And I think everyone could benefit from this, like just problem solving and being like, okay, it's like, what do I think it's going to take to make 4K and 4 clients this month? And it's just a skill that I want to have as a CEO. What, and we want to learn how to do it with this offer. Because any offer can make 4K a month. And I have that belief, but I don't know if you have that belief. And I think that's just like
I don't think
helpful.
I do. I think
I don't
that's
think
where
you
that's
do.
coming from is I
It's
don't,
like, yeah. So how would you
'cause-
know that what you have is unique and thoughtful enough for people? The resilient life.
so far it's been based on feedback, testimonials that I've been able to get,
Mm-hmm.
the results that people have come to me with like, from the debt side of things, someone saving 62,500 in the lawsuit.
Fucking huge. So it's like, if we think about, but this, you're, how would you know? Is coming from the external. It's like, it's coming from other people, like versus being like, this is the best offer ever. This is an incredible offer. And I'm going to help you to get the best. Like, it's like, I can get anybody results in anything. And being like totally sold in this offer, learning how to sell yourself, regardless of whether you want to add to the offer, if you want to change the offer, it's learning how to sell yourself on an offer is a skill set that is, you're like, as a CEO of a business, this is what I want to learn how to do. Because I have this thought that I can sell anything that anybody has. Like, I could sell any offer and make 4K right now. Like, that's just like a belief that I have in myself. And so that's the level of CEO I want you to be in the world. Like, I can sell anything. And the resilient life is the best thing that you've ever seen. It's incredible. You want to be in it. It is going to change your life over the time period that we work together. You're going to learn this. You're going to learn that. You're going to learn this. It's going to be phenomenal. Does that make sense? It's like not because, like, for any offer, it's just a good idea.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think part of it too is like when I do the mindset coaching, it literally is the client who sets the pacing and we coach around anything that they are having issues with. So like it mixes general life coaching with,
Mhm.
like covenant life coaching, which then
Mhm.
also like money is a definite thing that comes up for people
Every time.
because so like I don't know that I have a specific thing. Like I know we've like looking at the pillars, yeah, we've mapped it out, but like thinking about my current clients, I have one that literally came just from mindset, more confidence, more ability to set boundaries and more, like being sure of who she is and stuff. And I'm like, that's easy. Okay, we got you. And then the other ones are more tactical debt stuff, but they signed up for the 6-month thing, which includes mindset coaching around that so that they can have ongoing, here, let me give you some tactical, let me give you some of the basic how-tos, but let's also really work on mindset stuff with it.
Yeah. And so it's like, when we're thinking, what does your brain think about your offer currently? Like, I have a belief for you right now that there are 4 people who are in your audience today that want this offer and can easily pay for it and are like ready for the results that you have outlined right now. I don't know if you have that belief right now.
I don't, like I know
That's what I'm
that
like,
what I
let's get
do
clear about, like, and I want
delivers.
everybody to think about this. It's like, is my belief at the point that there are people, whatever your goal is, that right now, I bet there are I know that there are 16 people who need the resilient life. 100%. And I know that all 16 of them are in your sphere right now. What comes up as I say this?
Can you introduce me to those people?
Right? I know. I'm like, so
it's
then my
right.
thought is, I'm like, what? Like, my thought is, I'm trying to sell out my spots till March this month. And I'm like, okay, what would it look in with a wait list of 5 people? And I'm like, okay, so it's like, it's like, what could I say to just bring them in? I'm like, how can these humans reveal themselves to me? It's like, but my belief is that they're there. So I'm like, and for me, it's
Mm,
going to be 8 people. And I was like, ooh, okay. So it's like now it gets to be like when you're like, can you introduce them to me? It's like, what can I do to get them to introduce themselves to me this month, right now?
mm,
You know, what can I say
yeah.
to get these amazing humans to come to join the Resilient Life program? It's like so they're here. That underlying belief is like they're here right now. They need this. This is the best time for them to join is right now. Best time for them is right now. I'm trusting that they're here. I'm writing this down. I'm just, like, trying to like type and talk. But I'm like, I'm trusting they're here in my sphere right now for a reason. And I'm going to do everything I can to find them. It's like just a because then that puts you back in control versus like, where are they? It's like, I don't know, but I'm gonna find them. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know which 4 it is. I'm like, but then I like get to go and I like get to like get really curious about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so I'll just like go and I'll be like on my followers and I'm like, I wonder if it's Casey. That'd be so fun. What about Sarah? Ashley seems so cool. It could be Erica. It could be Cassie, maybe. Cass Tor- Cassie Torres. I'm like, it could be her. Like, and then I get to like just explore and be like, "Ooh, this is so fun." I get to be like, I wonder who these 4 are, but I had to get you in a place of like safety. That's why I was like trying to like be like, okay, by March, it's like we can have fun, and then March we'll talk. But it's like then I can have fun, and I can be like, okay, Casey, it's like, oh, she seems awesome. She has like all these cool things. She's like light language. It seems so sweet. I like love this. But I know I'm like looking at this and I'm like, what's your offer? How could you help people? I was like, I don't know what you do. I'm like, do you work with people one on one? Is it a group? Is it this? I don't know. I know I could help Casey Shulman right now. And so then it's like you get to look at your audience and be like, I could help like any of these people. And I know that the resilient life. Oh, the resilient. Damn, I love it. But it's like I wonder who of these people wants the resilient life. I wonder if it's Alex. Maybe it's Jake. Maybe it's Oliver. Maybe it's Maria. Who knows? It's like I don't know which of them it is, but I know that it's just 16 till March. I'm like, yeah. Like, so let's figure out who they are. Now, I like, and then hitting something to explain what the resilient life is and being like, this is going to be 6 months to change the next 6 years of your life. You are going to learn how to manage your money. You are going to learn how to overcome stress. You're gonna learn how to prevent stress. You're going to learn how to create quality relationships. You're going to learn how to generate confidence and you're going to find a direction. It's like find your direction and like reach your goals. You're gonna learn something like that. It's like and having like something like this to be like, it's like you're gonna do this in the next 6 months.
Mm,
I believe in your
okay.
transformation. I believe in these people. Like whoever is following you right now, being like, it's like I know that I can help and Kim and Kim Murrah. I know that Philip's life could be better just by me working. It's like I know that I could help this person manage their money. I know that I could help Jackson be more confident. I know I can help Sarjo with whatever he's struggling with, or she, them, whatever.
Right.
It's like when you get in that energy of like, now I just get to show up just to find them. What are your thoughts about the offer now?
Well, like my brain is going to strategy of, oh, okay, I need to social media stalk these people and kind of see what they're talking about, and then start putting posts out there that or content out there that almost answers what they were posting about without calling them out.
Well, what I do is I like ask them. I was like, "Hey, thank you so much for following me. I am so grateful for you. I'm making my content for January and February right now, actually. And I was wondering, like, is there anything that you're looking specifically to like grow in? It's the first month of 2024, and I really would love to like, I would love to see what kind of things you need help with. I was like, because I've got you.
Mm,
I
that's good.
actually, and then when you actually have the those one-on-one conversations, freaking magic. But I
bumped into this.
so cute. I was like, so it's like, so I want you now, but what like instead of being like, I don't
Hey, Mom,
it's like I've had a hard mental
look at
blow.
this
I'm fearful what I have is unique enough. It's like this is for sure unique and thoughtful enough. Like it is gonna get people results, and I'm going to figure this out. Like it's like, so what would you need to do? What is the version of you think that signs 4K and 4 clients like in January this week? It's like it's
Well,
bringing
it's
me.
almost like the easier thing for me to think is God will bring the people, because like none of
Mhm.
these people that I signed were anyone that I sought out to sign. They literally all came to me going, Tammy, what have you got? One of them came
And
from a place I'm not even marketing on really, who
yes,
messaged me.
it's like,
Um,
and I'm going to do everything in my power to like show up for them.
right,
And
right.
and showing up for them doesn't always mean that you have to be posting when you're sick. Showing up for them can be taking time to heal
Mm-hmm.
and being an example of how to have a trusting relationship. Like that's like one of your pillars. It's like
Yeah,
to
having
be
healthy
confident
boundaries.
enough and to have a quality connection with your own business and with your
Hmm.
clients and with the future clients, all the things. So
Yeah.
it's like that, but I want to cause it's like this is the trust in the if we're thinking about like the belief triad, it's
Yeah.
like trust in the clients are coming, trust in yourself. And then what thought can you
Mom.
yourself, what thought can you have about your business? Like that this resilient life is what they want. Like what's a thought you can have about that?
What? This Jimmy.
I almost I'm thinking like the thought is God gave me the business. Why wouldn't he bring the people?
Look at these
Yes.
kids.
It's like a trust.
Mom,
And
look
I
at
was
this.
like, this is my thought. I'm gonna do it's like God helped me make this business and I know it's here for a reason. What was the word that you said? I forget. It
God helped me make this business. I know it's here for a reason, and I know he'll bring the people because he gave me
you know,
the
he'll
name
bring
of
the
the
people.
business and the whole
I
how it came
know.
about.
And your brain's like, I don't know if it's enough. It's unique. God, is it unique enough? Is it thoughtful enough? And you can be like, wait, but he,
Right.
like, I got to trust that. And I
Yeah.
want you to trust what thought can you have about yourself to bring these people in?
I just keep hearing I don't have to do the heavy lifting. He's gonna highlight the people to me. Um, they're gonna end up raising their own hands.
And like, and what can you do to like, what can you do as you're posting? Like, he's, it's like, and like, I just want to give really great content to this month. Like, I want to, like, something about like that.
It's just showing up and serving. Like it
Yes.
kind of goes back to the I can't remember what scripture it is, but it's like you didn't come to be served, you came to serve.
Yes, I'm just ready to show up and serve. I love that thought. Like it's like so that full on belief triad. How do you feel? Like you were like, I feel like I'm just kind of like in a like meh. Or you didn't say meh. You were like, I'm in kind
Yeah.
of a
Eh.
eh.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you feel instead of eh now?
I'm feeling better about it. Like I feel like I'm gonna go back and I feel like I'm gonna go back and watch this replay and kind of when I can kind of sit with my pillars and reprocess a little bit more and not be slightly distracted with
I
little
was like,
people.
I love it. I was like, I love it. And it's like that, like, and I think that the overall feeling is just like, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm trusting the humans. It's good. Like, this is gonna work out, and it's never how I expect, ever.
Well, and
Never
it's
who or
yeah,
what I expect or how.
yeah, yeah. It's
I'm just
like
gonna do
it's
everything
almost
I can.
like I keep like as you're talking, it's like I keep hearing my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Stop making it hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So it's
And
just
it's like
it's
having
reminding
that
myself of
intention.
his yeah, it's reminding myself of his promises for everybody, not just special people. There are no special people. Everyone's special in his eyes. So
Yeah, and it's like, and being like this 4K goal, it's
mhm.
like it's here for a reason too.
Yeah.
It's like this,
Well, it's
there are 4 people I for sure can help, and I'm gonna do the work, like, to
and
bring them.
the crazy thing is last year I had a goal of 2000 and he put it in me to track every month what I was making and I averaged a minimum of a little over 2000 every single month and I'm like at the end of the month I was like how the heck did that happen cuz I didn't have that lined up and it wasn't working a gajillion hours or doing any of that stuff. So it's like now it's like he's showing me I can increase it because he's the God of abundance and he'll provide as long as I'm showing up and I'm willing. So yeah, thank you.
Of course. I love you guys so much. This was so, so good. This is so fun. I am just so thankful for all of you, and I'm so excited for just us to keep growing in 2024. Like, I really do feel like this is our year, and I love the energy of this group. It's like just so positive and like, let's go help the humans. So I am just so grateful for you all, and I will be seeing you next week. Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Of course. Bye, everybody.